Good evening. This is Lord Malachite. I'm broadcasting again, of course, on Star versus the Forces of Evil. This just happens to be mainly the subject that people seem to like me talking about the most. So, for the meantime, I'm going to keep doing that. Although I am strongly considering this weekend doing a quick video for Equestria Girls 4, The Legend of Everfree. Maybe it won't be quite a quick video because I have a lot to say about that movie. Much of it negative, although there are a few positive things. But just for the record, I'm actually a fan of Equestria Girls. I'm not anti-Equestria Girls. However, Legend of Everfree was something that kind of disappointed me. But we'll get to that in another video, obviously. So today we're here to talk again about Star versus the Forces of Evil. And since I have been so busy doing other things, of course, I am very behind in the videos, though not so much in the actual viewing of the episodes. So this particular video, normally I do just a single episode per video. Last time I did do both Star Sitting and On the Job because the episodes really go together. They're like mirror images of each other in a sense. This time I'm going to talk about both as well, which would be Goblin Dogs and By the Book. Goblin Dogs, there's really almost nothing to say about it. Goblin Dogs is not a bad episode. It's just an utterly pointless episode. It's there for some laughs. There's an LSD trip in it, but except for the throwaway line from Ponyhead about what's happened to Heinous and the changing of things at St. Olga's Reform School for Wayward Princesses, there's really nothing to this episode whatsoever, except that we see Star, Marco, and Ponyhead hanging out for the first time, and of this new girl, Kelly, who seems to, so far, have just been a one-off character. Not a character I really have anything to say about in a positive or negative light. So basically, that right there's your review of Goblin Dogs. It's a fun episode. It's not a terribly important episode. If for some reason you can't watch every episode of the show, Goblin Dogs is absolutely one that you can skip without having missed anything. It really does nothing to advance the show whatsoever. That said, that doesn't make it a bad episode. It's not poorly written. The characters don't behave stupidly in it. But for the most part, things are in character. It just really doesn't do anything. So I don't really know what else to say about it. I could break it down, but almost everything is just played for a laugh, and I just don't see a need to. It really didn't do anything wrong. It just really didn't go out of its way to do anything right either. It's just kind of there. So yeah, there's my review of Goblin Dogs. So that really wouldn't make for much of an entertaining video. So moving on from Goblin Dogs, let's talk about By the Book, which was absolutely an important episode. This is the first real appearance of Ludo in a long time. Of course, he had at the beginning of season 2, we had Ludo in the wild, and we have seen little bits of him. We had the plot with him in Wand to Wand. We have had little snippets of him, like seeing him at the end of On the Job, but we have not really seen his character truly in action since Wand to Wand, and Star has not actually seen him since the events of Storm the Castle. So bringing his character back into the show and back more into a primary role, albeit sort of a different one, was kind of interesting. He doesn't have an army of monsters at his command anymore. In fact, we really haven't seen any of the monsters that were in Ludo's army except for Buff Frog and I've forgotten his name. I want to say Fly Guy. That's wrong. But for some reason, his name has escaped me for the moment. Please forgive me, Internet. Those are the only ones we've actually seen in the show at all since the events of Storm the Castle. I hope that we will get to see more of them in the future. Who knows what will happen? But of course, he does have his bird and his spider now, and they are certainly, definitely minions of a sort, very different ones, but fiercely loyal to him for whatever reason. So what we really see in this episode is we get a little bit of a look into Ludo's psyche. I mean, it opens up where he's having yet again troubles controlling his wand, and we see him actually talking to the wand. It's never clear if he is actually communicating with the wand directly, if the wand truly speaking with him, or is this just something in his head because he's gone sort of crazy in his attempts to control it. We don't know that yet. It is possible that the wand is actually speaking to him, since we know that Star has I guess you could say, the horses are like faux unicorns that live in her wands. So perhaps there is some presence in Ludo's wand as well. We also see a lot of Star's character in this. Her primary character traits are on display. She's being lazy. She doesn't want to learn the new spells because they're hard. There's kind of a joke there about all the different moves that Sailor Moon would go through to unleash her powerful attacks, and Star isn't willing to learn the steps, as it were. She just wants everything to be handed for her. And instead of creating this stampede of fearsome warnicorns, she ends up creating this cute little single plush-like one that's, about yay high. It's not much bigger than a Tsum Tsum, I guess you could say. So it's a cute little joke, but this does not play into Star being stupid, as the mistake has been made many times this season. This just plays into her being generally, she's lazy, she's impatient, she's impulsive, she doesn't like to sit down and actually learn things. She just enjoys doing things, and she'd rather do the easy spells that she knows rather than these complex ones. So that was pretty much where we were at the start of this episode. We see after she fails the Warnicord Stampede spell, she is just bored. She's tired of actually trying and applying herself, and she just wants to go have fun. She essentially calls Glossaric as an unfun person, that she doesn't have fun with him. And then she kind of has to backpedal about how they're not friends and really that they are friends. And eventually she ends up pissing Glossaric off, and he goes to hide in a box of donuts. The rest of the episode, until Ludo shows up in the climax, the rest of it is basically Star and Marco trying to repair the damage that Star did with her words about how she actually feels about Glossaric by going to this film festival. Where he ends up spoiling the movie for everyone in the crowd. They put on a little show. Marco attacks Star in her room at night, pretending to be a vicious monster, and she needs Glossaric to help her to protect herself, but nothing really works. In the end, they throw him into the most rotten dumpster in town, which apparently is right behind the same movie cinema they were at earlier. At least it looks that way according to the wall. And then this is where a lot of the stereotypical cartoon stuff happens. A garbage truck comes and hauls the donut box away, while Star and Marco are trying to retrieve it. Ludo finally shows up, and they end up having this kind of unepic wand fight, both of them being really, really bad at what they're doing. Marco even commenting that it's the worst magic wand fight ever. Ultimately, the box of donuts practically gets crushed, but then falls into some soda, spewing Glossaric out of it. He trips Ludo when Ludo's about to murder Star with his wand, and Glossaric then summons the book, and Star does the proper Sailor Moon version of Warnicorn Stampede, sending Ludo and his little it's not so little burdened monster back to Muni through the portal. All's well that ends well. The real things to pick up on here are Star's kind of transitioning, how she was too lazy to take on any of these new spells, but when push came to shove, when she really needed to, she didn't have any problem with just doing the spell on her first try, even after whining that it was too hard earlier in the episode. We have, of course, Ludo talking to his wand, as I mentioned earlier, and now discovering, in fact, that Star might know how to use a wand, but he doesn't need her after all. His whole reason for going to Earth was to kidnap Star and to force her to teach him how to use his wand, but now he knows that there is a book. Whether the book would actually work for him or not, we don't know, since his wand seems to have a kind of different core than Star's, kind of being based in evil. and we don't really know most of the spells that are in the book, or if Ludo would even be able to read it. The book is meant for magical princesses only, so there's a lot of questions that we really don't know the answers to right now. Overall, this episode was good in advancing some plots. I thought it handled Ludo's character well. I think it handled Star's character well. I think her being short with Glossaric and being just impatient and lazy, that's all very much in line, rather than her acting like an idiot like she has so many times in season 2. So these are still all definite improvements in my book. We are definitely going in the right direction, and it's so refreshing to see the writers getting that. Based on the episodes that come after, I've seen the next 4 as well, and again, these are all definitely heading in the right direction. We're getting back to that level of season 1 writing where the characters are really starting to shine through. So this is really what the show has been needing for a long time, and it was nice to see them find a way to have Ludo re-enter it without becoming the crux of attention anymore. We still have lots of other things going on in other new episodes, and that's something we need to see continue. So, as for where the show is at right now, it is definitely moving back up my list of recommended series. Season 2 started out so weakly that for a while I had taken it off my recommended list, but since it has righted the ship, so to speak, I've gladly put it back there, and I hope they never make the kind of mistakes with the characters that they did at the beginning of Season 2. Hopefully those kind of mistakes will not be made again. So kudos to you, writing team, for recognizing the things that you did badly and working on it throughout the season. These episodes were all in the can long before I started working for them, so I'm not in any way trying to think that I somehow influenced it or anyone else on social media was somehow influencing the way the show was going. These episodes have been in the can for so long. There's no way that people like myself complaining about it had a difference. So that means, as far as I'm concerned, that you guys realized that you were messing up and seemed to have righted the ship, seemed to have figured out what needed to be done. So keep it up. The show is getting better and better, and that's exactly what it needs. Star versus the Forces of Evil is an oasis in only a small market of good cartoons. When we venture outside of Star, there isn't a whole lot that's worth watching. You know, there's heavy hitters out there, like there's Steven Universe. There's for those that are into it, there's My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic, which I enjoy. It has slipped somewhat, being 6 seasons in. It's not as great as it once was, but it has not gotten to the point where I feel it has utterly jumped the shark or just not worth watching anymore. People probably hate me for saying this, but I'm a huge fan of Teen Titans Go. I think it's hilarious, and I feel I'm allowed to say that because I'm 37 years old. They recently did the Oregon Trail episode, which is all about an educational game that I played in the 1980s in school as a kid. I can't imagine all but the faintest majority of little kids would have actually been exposed to those old, especially those old versions of the Oregon Trail made for like Apple and very, very early PCs back in the day. So, people like me who used to quote unquote game on an Apple IIe, if you want to call gaming the educational games you could actually play in school, like the Oregon Trail and the Carmen Sandiego games, that was about all you had. They weren't gaming rigs really, like say the Commodore 64, which was really made for games, and of course the 80s consoles like the NES and the Sega Master System and the various Atari systems, the 2600, the 5200, eventually even the 7800. These were just different things. So the fact that the writers of Teen Titans Go are willing to make an episode like that was just awesome. I know I'm getting off the topic of Star, but I really don't have all that much to say. I don't want to ramble on. I'm just pointing out some great shows that are out there. So these are some great cartoons that are still being made right now, but there really aren't a lot. And we were losing Star for a while, so it's good to know that she's come back. Beyond that, I do know this week we had the premiere of Milo Murphy's Law, which is kind of like the successor to Phineas and Ferb, taking place in the same universe, also made by Dan and Swampy, and the same animation style, although from what I understand the show is much different. It is not just Phineas and Ferb with different characters. So I'm looking forward to checking it out. I'm cautiously optimistic. I did feel it was a little iffy for them to set the show in Danville. I really think they should have maybe, using the tri-state area would have been okay, but maybe another area of the tri-state area, another region or something, so that we could have seen more of that world. But what's done is done. I'm a huge fan of Weird Al Yankovic. I love his music. I love his general comedies and many of the videos and things he does. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he brings to the lead character of Milo. So that's where we stand right now, as far as I'm concerned. More great episodes to review are actually coming. I'm looking at my handy little box here, and I'm showing that the next episode I need to review is Game of Flags and Girls' Day Off. I may possibly need to break these up like I was before, because there's a lot I can say about Game of Flags, and basically all of it positive. This is not going to be a rant. Girls' Day Off had some missed opportunities in it, but it really didn't do anything I felt to really. It didn't rape the characters. It didn't really mess up. So missed opportunities, but nothing that I would really want to rake it over the coals for. So we'll see when I do those episodes, which will hopefully be within the next few days, like Sunday at the latest. I definitely want to sit down and really think about the different things I want to say about them, because there's a lot that I can say about both. So they could end up being long videos, but. Again, that's where we are for now. So, By the Book was definitely a great episode. The only thing I have left to say on it is what is going on with Glossaric? Is he really this all kind of knowing and seeing character that can see the future in such a way that he knows he needs to be inside a box of donuts in the back of a garbage truck in order for some soda to make him shoot out of it and cause Ludo to trip? Is that actually real, or is that just some kind of magic, or really what? Or is it just a perceived, what he likes to think about himself? We don't really know that right now. It could be a combination of all three. I definitely do enjoy Glossaric's character, played by Jeffrey Tambor, and I'd like to see more of him, which I know they're going to do. His character just needs to be there. He's kind of Star's guide on a lot of things, so. I hope that he continues to help Star move forwards in her powers, and I hope that he's always there to really push her, because Star is someone that has to be pushed, sometimes even drag kicking and screaming, and he seems like the kind of person that knows just how to do that actually understands her. So that is our show. That is By the Book. Ludo now knows that Star has this book, and will be seeing what he intends to do with this knowledge the next time he shows up. In the meantime, I do want to thank you all for watching. I love reviewing this episode, all these episodes. I love talking about animation in general. There's so many things that I could say, but again, I don't want to just start rambling, losing people, making them want to kill themselves listening to my voice. So always know when to end, and this feels like a great place to end. So thank you for watching. Please stay tuned for more videos in the near future, and have a fantastic night. Lord Malachite out.